Hello, this is Parker with KetoCottage.com, where we bake everything you're craving of any kind of keto dessert. We have keto cakes, we have loaves, and we have plenty of cookies just for you. I want to thank you for supporting KetoCottage.com.
What we're making today is an oat fiber keto bread. We've been on a keto journey probably for about maybe over 6 years. And over the years, we've constantly been trying to find the perfect keto bread that we enjoy. Now, this bread that we found is our favorite above all, but it is not gluten-free. So if you are needing gluten-free, this is not the recipe for you. There's a good amount of vital wheat gluten in it, but it makes a wonderful bread. It's fluffy and light, and we have never found a bread that compares to this. And the way that we found it is I had ordered some oat fiber, not to be confused with oat flour. This is not oat flour, this is oat fiber. And I ordered some oat fiber for another recipe to try. And on the back of this oat fiber by Life Source, it had a beautiful loaf of bread on the front, a picture of it. And then I looked on the back and it had a recipe. And I said, well, if that recipe looks as good as the bread on the front, I definitely need to try it. And needless to say, we've been making this bread ever since. So what we have here is 2 eggs and 2 tablespoons of ghee. Now we make our own ghee. You don't have to use ghee. You can substitute butter, but we like the flavor of the ghee, so we're going to go ahead and use that. And then on the side here, we have all the dry ingredients already measured out. It's oat fiber. There's the flaxseed meal, almond flour, the vital wheat gluten, and the oat fiber, plus some xanthan gum, salt, and some monk fruit powder. And then on the side of that, we have our yeast mixture going here, which is 1.5 cups of warm water, which I usually get to about 105 degrees, 1 teaspoon of yeast, and 1.5 tablespoons of yeast, and 1 teaspoon of honey. Now, while I'm mixing everything up, I go ahead and get the yeast going so that it can start to ferment and rise. And you don't have to worry about the honey that's in it because the yeast is going to eat all that up, so there aren't any carbs from that. It actually is, it feeds the yeast in your mixture. Yeah. So what we have here is 1 cup of oat fiber. You can see it's very light. 1.5 cups of wheat gluten, and then I also have in here the salt, which is 1.5 teaspoons of salt and 3/4 teaspoons of xanthan gum. That's with the vital wheat gluten. And then we have 2/3 cup of golden flax meal. This gives it a really good nutty, grainy flavor. And then we've got 1/4 cup of almond flour. And then this is the 2 tablespoons of monk fruit that we add in. And again, we're waiting on our yeast mixture. And then we just get this all mixed up. Then the next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to beat the eggs and the ghee for 2 minutes. And then from there, we'll add in our dry ingredients and our yeast. So what we're doing now is we're going to add our dry mixture to the egg and ghee, which I mixed the ghee and egg mixture for 2 minutes. So now we're going to add the dry and then our yeast. And then I'm going to get the dough mixed up with the regular paddle on the mixer. Once that's done, I'm going to come back and use the dough hook. And we're going to mix it with the dough hook for about 6 minutes. So now we've got the dough hook going, and we set our timer for about 6 minutes. You can mix it on about a 3 level. It's going to start to form a ball. You don't have to worry about it being like a normal ball, like normal bread would be. I've made plenty of homemade bread in the past, so I know the consistency of it. This is going to be a very firm dough. And it doesn't act exactly like a regular normal bread. So this is our whole amount of the loaf. It's going to make 2 nice size loaf breads. So what I do is I take it out and I weigh it, and then I divide it in half so that I can have equal size loaves. So what you can do is just knead it a little bit. It's not necessary to do a bunch of kneading, but really the kneading is just to kind of form your loaf, just to get it into a loaf size shape. It's more for shaping than for the whole thing about kneading like in normal bread, because really it's been kneaded long enough with the 6 to 8 minutes with the dough hook. And during this time, what I do, and then you can just put it in the pan, is I get my oven, I just put it on preheat and just warm up the oven. And then what we're going to do is take these 2 loaves and we're going to put them in the oven. I just leave them uncovered until they're doubled. And normally in a warm oven, that only takes like 40 to 45 minutes for me. And then we'll come back and show you what that looks like. So we've had our loaves rising in a warm oven for about 45 minutes, and it's usually until doubled. Pretty much most of the time we're pretty anxious to get it baking, so I haven't really extended it to see how far they would rise. But they do continue to rise once they're in the oven. So we're preheating the oven right now to 375, and then they will be baked for 30 minutes, and we'll come back and show you what they look like. So here's our 2 loaves that have come out and are completely cooled after 30 minutes in the oven at 375. You can see how light and fluffy they are. Look at the texture of this. It's just beautiful. It makes great sandwich bread. And just a reminder that sometimes we also make rolls with it. So you can just divide them up, and I make sliders with the rolls for Mr. Keto Cottage here. So that's just another way to make this fabulous bread, and we hope that you enjoy it. Thanks.